Hello everyone, we're here at Rainforest Flora for another day of speaking about Tillandsia I-Anantha and its different forms. Our last talk ended up being very interesting to a lot of people. So part of this will be going over the same material, but a lot of it will be new as well, with new varieties and new insights into how to grow and what they look like and all of that for Tillandsia I-Anantha and its many different forms, many more forms than what we have here today. So let's get started. The first one I'm going to show you is Tillandsia I-Anantha gigante. And as you can see, this is actually, well, you can't see it, but this is a baby one. This plant can get to be huge, and but it has tremendous number of leaves, very thick and succulent, and a lot in demand. We don't have very many of them. This one is called I-Anantha Fuego Totem Pole.
Wow.
And it's a form of fuego, but it keeps growing and growing and growing, and it can actually get to be, I don't know, 20 centimeters, 8 inches or so. And you can see this one's got 2 or 3 pups on it, but this is also a really nice plant. And then we have Tillandsia I-Anantha Wamalula, and Wamalula is a beautiful plant, lots of color, and gets large. Another large growing I-Anantha that can get quite a bit of color. Tillandsia I-Anantha van Heinige is a described variety, not a cultivar, it's described. And this van Heinige, as you can see, is coming into bloom. Just starting with the purple flower to come out. And it grows tall, the leaves not so many, but very thick and succulent. And this is Tillandsia I-Anantha Druid. And Druid is an albino form of I-Anantha. When it blooms, instead of turning red, it gets a peach color. The flowers, instead of being purple, are white. And those are the signature characteristics of Tillandsia I-Anantha Druid. And here we have one of everybody's favorites. This is Tillandsia I-Anantha Fuego. And Fuego has the most red color of any of the Tillandsias. Unless you live in the tropics, like in Singapore or Thailand, and then they tend to be green. But in most areas, this gets red color all through its life, and then it turns a brilliant red when it flowers. This one, very, very popular and very rare. This is Tillandsia I-Anantha monkey tail.
Wow.
Yeah, it's amazing. It just kind of goes down like this, and it can get to be 30 centimeters, a foot long. It's just an incredible plant. You can see it has some offsets coming off, but Tillandsia I-Anantha monkey tail. And this is also a very interesting plant. This is Tillandsia I-Anantha monstrose. And monstrose doesn't have a center. When a plant is monstrose, it means that the apical tip where the leaves grow out from doesn't really exist. There is meristematic tissue, the leaves do grow out, but there's no center. So you can see in this one, if you can see closely here, there's just no center to the plant. So I-Anantha monstrose, very rare and very interesting. So, and this one is Tillandsia I-Anantha sumo size white.
Wow.
Sumo size because it gets very large. It also is an albino form of I-Anantha. Doesn't turn so much of a peach color when it blooms. It lightens up, gets a lighter white color, maybe a little bit of peach, and then it also gets the white flowers instead of the purple flowers. But it grows very large, and it's heavy, and it's fast growing. You get a big clump of this in just 2 or 3 years, and it can weigh, you know, half a pound up to a pound. It just keeps going. It has many offsets. This one has 3. So it's a prolific reproducer vegetatively for the offsets. Tillandsia I-Anantha sumo size white. And, well, I'm just showing this one. This looks like another I-Anantha Wamalula. Here was the one that I showed before. You can see the one in my right hand on your left side of looking is much larger. So they can go from this to this pretty easily. This is Tillandsia I-Anantha enano. Enano is Latin for dwarf. Well, it's actually Spanish for dwarf. And it's a small growing Ionantha. It forms a very dense round clump. The plants stay small. They don't get big. So it's a really interesting form, Tillandsia Ionantha enano, which means dwarf. And what else do we have? We have Tillandsia Ionantha two-tone. Ionantha two-tone has two colors. The lower part of the leaves are green, the upper part of the leaves are red. And it's a characteristic that stays with the plant through time. And you can see on this one, on both of these, the red and the green mixed together. Tillandsia Ionantha two-tone. This is a beauty. This is Tillandsia Ionantha variety stricta. This is a described form. And this one also has a lot of red in it throughout its life if it gets bright light. And when it blooms, it gets, they all get almost fluorescent red. It's just amazing. But this one produces many, many leaves. And the leaves are spreading. That means they tend to go sideways. As it goes along in its lifetime and it starts getting larger, it has less leaves, but each leaf is much thicker and more succulent. I don't know why that happens. It just does. But this is kind of mid-stage between the two. It's still got a lot of the shape and the number of leaves of when it's young, but not as many, and it will have fewer leaves as it gets larger. But even this plant can get almost twice as big and very tall, and the leaves become erect rather than spreading. Very interesting. Tillandsia Ionantha stricta. And then we have, get the wire here. This is Tillandsia Ionantha fastigiata, another described form. The plants don't get real large. The leaves are very, very strict. They grow together tightly. They don't spread at all. It's similar to Ionantha apretado, but apretado gets larger and it has red color to the leaves, and the leaves are more thick and succulent.
Paul, I'm sorry to interrupt. Is that the one they used to call peanut?
Yes, Barry, that's exactly right. This was called Tillandsia Ionantha peanut for many years, and then Pam Coity had it officially described as Tillandsia Ionantha fastigiata. So this is a clump of apretado.
Beautiful.
And again, it's pretty similar to the fastigiata, but it does have a different shape. It does have a lot of red color over time. These are mostly faded mother plants here, so they don't have the color. And they get about 3 times this size. They can get to be about 3 or 4 centimeters, 5 centimeters. They get pretty large. The fastigiata doesn't. So it's a way to tell them apart. And this is Ionantha predator. I love this one. This one also gets huge. And it has a red midline stripe down the leaves, longitudinally down the leaves. It has a red color and green on the margins. It's distinctive, and it's a very large growing plant, Tillandsia Ionantha predator. And then finally, we don't have Ionantha Guatemala up here. We don't have rubra up here. I think we talked about those last time.
Yes.
But this is Tillandsia Ionantha Mexico. The Mexican version has thicker, more succulent leaves than the Guatemalan version and fewer trichomes. The Guatemalan version generally is pretty gray with the trichomes. This is more of a green and turning bright red when it flowers. And it gets very large over time. Normally for sale, they're 2 or 3 centimeters, but they can get to be 4 or 5 centimeters pretty easily. And they're spectacular when they flower. They're so big and they're so thick.
And I know we're mostly doing forms of varieties, but we have 2 hybrids, right?
Yes, we have 2 hybrids over here, and then we'll wind up. This is Tillandsia Ionantha Victoria, which is a hybrid of Ionantha and Brachycollis. And you can see that this one's very interesting because it has red upper parts of the leaves and greener below.
Yeah.
There's a lot of variety with Victoria, and there are different forms of Victoria. This may be a Victoria orange, I'm not sure, but it gets large. It looks like an Ionantha, but it gets really, really big and can have a lot of color in the leaves. So Tillandsia Victoria, it was named for Victoria Padilla. I think this was done back in the 60s, and Victoria Padilla was one of the founding members of the Bromeliad Society, which was founded in 1950. She lived in Brentwood in LA. I used to know her back in the 70s, and she was a great lady. Dedicated her life to bromeliads and wrote a couple of books about them. So Tillandsia Victoria. And then the last one is one of my favorites. This is Tillandsia Buck Compton. And Buck Compton is a hybrid of I-Anantha and fasciculata. And you can see the characteristics here of both plants. One of the aspects that people like the most about Buck Compton is the recurvature of the leaves. It just gives it a beautiful form that is modern and lends itself well to decorating. It's rare. We have it in different sizes, a few, not so many, anywhere from maybe 15 centimeters, and then the big guys can get to be, 45, even almost up to 60 centimeters tall. They
Wow.
can get to be very, very large. And this is a particularly nice one. And this one was named for Buck Compton, who was one of the soldiers in Easy Company that was featured in the Tom Hanks, Steven Spielberg series, Band of Brothers. And just a wonderful, wonderful man, very humble. And he died about 6 years ago, but he was just a wonderful guy and a good friend. And so this is named Buck Compton in honor of Buck. So I think that's it for today, folks. Thank you so much for watching, if you're still there. And we'll talk next time around.
www.
Yes, our website, www.rainforestflora.com. A lot of people say reinforced floors, but no, it's Rainforest Flora. One R in forest, and Flora does not have an L on the end. FLORA.com. Bye, everybody.
Thank you, Paul.